If I asked you, where do you get your inspiration from? Like, where is it in the world that you actually find inspiration for your projects, your photo shoots, your video shoots? Where is it? And be honest, because my answer is probably gonna be very similar to yours. If you said anything like Pinterest, Instagram, social media as a whole, online as a whole, that's exactly what I think most people would say, and that's exactly what I would say. The internet is such an incredible place for inspiration because it's basically an aggregate of all the artwork that everyone is making online in the entire world at your fingertips, which is a pretty crazy amount of access when you think about it. And the cool thing is a lot of these online platforms are also algorithmic. So if you like a certain thing over and over again, these programs, these algorithms will keep feeding you things that it thinks that you will like. And a lot of the time it's true. I've made dozens and dozens of mood boards from strictly Pinterest photos, from Instagram inspo, from YouTube video ideas. All these places are incredible places for inspiration. But there is one source that I believe rules them all when it comes to inspiration, and it is these books. You see, as much as everything I just talked about with the online space is true, there are a few downfalls to looking for inspiration strictly through internet means. Number one is that on social media, it's very easy to just like look, scroll, and never actually take the time to dissect a picture or dissect a piece of art and understand how it happened, why it happened, who took it, what was the intention, what was the story. All of these things culminate into just one image that you might just swipe by in a matter of milliseconds. Another issue that I actually just said was a pro can be a con, and that is the algorithm. Now let's say you're a car photographer. Your Instagram or your Pinterest will probably only spit out car photography that it thinks that you will like. It's not going to give you architecture photos. It's not going to give you landscapes. It will most likely only deliver car photography. And that's great because that is what you do, but it can also limit your scope as to what's possible outside of that sphere. Now, I consider myself to be a portrait and lifestyle photographer, but some of my best ideas for portraiture, for example, have come outside of portrait work. I've looked at photos of landscapes, I've looked at product photography, I've looked at car photography, and gotten ideas for my portrait work that I wouldn't have otherwise thought of. Another reason I absolutely love books is because of just how tangible they are. There is something about having a large format book, take this book from Supreme, for example, and being able to flip through it at any point in time because you own the book and look at these large format images. And not only just look, but dissect, understand, feel them, read the story behind them, and really get to know what this image is all about without just looking at pixels on a screen. One of my goals for 2025 is to get back into more slow consumption, and with that is to use social media and the internet as a whole less and less as a means of inspiration for my work. It is a very important place to find inspiration. That's why these tools exist, but it's important to know that there are other methods out there, including books. This book, for example, I recently found in a local bookstore in Toronto, and it is a hefty book. Look at the size of this. Like, that is a proper coffee table book, and I believe the price of this is, $72 Canadian, and I found it on clearance for 15 bucks. Immediately, what I loved about this book is how specific the title was: European Portrait Photography since 1990. Like, it is a very, very niche subsect of photography work that is all culminating and aggregating into one single book, and it is just absolutely gorgeous. When I look through books of photography, I'm looking for things like focal length, I'm looking for things like lighting techniques, obviously the scenery and the area and the context and the wardrobe, things that make up the obvious visual storytelling aspect of the image. I'm looking at posing, I'm looking at props, I'm looking at hand gestures, facial expressions. All of these things make up a photo, and I actually have time to look at them when they're printing in a book in front of me. And they're also just fun, like a really good source of inspiration. For example, one of my biggest hobbies outside of photography is just home design and architecture. And this book called Surf Shack is one of my favorite books. Shout out to my friend Steven, who actually got this book for me years ago for my birthday, and I love it. I look at it all the time for home decor, home design inspiration that really speaks to what I want to design my house as in the future. And again, I'm looking at these pictures and I'm thinking, How do the pictures feel so comfortable? How do they feel so warm and inviting? What focal length was that? What shutter speed were they using to get their hand in motion blur? All these things are things that I can only take the time to think about when I'm flipping through pages on a book. I also think this is only going to get more and more important as the age and revolution of AI becomes more prominent. You're going to want to have a more slow approach to consuming content, both online and offline. And for us as photographers, a lot of that content that we consume is inspiration and motivation and lessons and tools and learning to how we want to best execute our craft. The goal on here with my YouTube channel is to also make photography more human and to slow things down for you, make it a bit less technical and a bit more about the actual visual storytelling of photography itself. And with that comes all my photo books. I urge you guys to go out to your local bookstores and see what books they have on clearance, what books they have on sale, and books that might be out of your comfort zone in terms of exactly what your lane is as a photographer. Explore outwards. One of my actual favorite genres of book that I don't have here is cookbooks. The photography in a good cookbook is able to tell such an incredibly rich story by just looking at something. Like, you can taste the food through the image, and I think that is such a powerful, powerful thing. And I bet you if you live at home or you have parents nearby, they probably have really old books that you can look into. Photography is absolutely timeless. Look at old books from the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, and I guarantee you will find lots of inspiration there as well. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and like button down below and comment what you want to see more of. I'll be over here reading. Peace.